Jai Shri Ram. Have you heard of Philip Zimbardo's Stanford prison experiment? Now, the final message and lesson we can draw from this Zimbardo's Stanford prison experiment is that good people can be made to do horrible things because of the force that can be exerted by religion and other social or institutional forces. Well, I can't name those religions, which are the two major religions today and 4 billion followers. If you read their holy books, you will be shocked. Throughout history, they have committed crimes and they are continuing to commit crimes. And I don't know when they will be able to throw their holy books into the nearest dustbin. So, Philip Zimbardo, a great American psychologist, conducted this experiment which is called the Stanford prison experiment. See, the experiment was designed to explore the question of whether prison system brutality is a product of dysfunctional personality or whether it is caused at least in part by the dehumanizing nature of prison life itself. The issue at stake was whether people's goodness would triumph over the evil of a prison like environment. Zimbardo created his prison in the basement of the psychology laboratory at Stanford University and recruited subjects through a newspaper advertisement. Before the study began, he made sure that the chosen participants were psychologically healthy and had had no previous run-ins with the law. His subjects, all students, were randomly allocated to prison guard and prison groups, meaning that both groups were representative of young white middle class America. The results of the experiment were both stunning and dismaying. It took only a few days, it took only a day for the guards to begin to display significant levels of aggression toward the prisoners, with the encounters between the two groups characteristically being negative, hostile, affrontive, and dehumanizing. This had a large and disastrous psychological effect on the prisoners. Zimbardo reports that their behavior became passive and zombie-like, and that as early as the second day, depression, rage, and acute anxiety were all evident. By the time the experiment came to a premature end after 6 of a planned 14 days, only within 6 days it had to be ended. There was a lady who stopped it, and finally Zimbardo married her because it had become a madhouse. By the time the experiment came to a premature end after 6 of a planned 14 days, 5 prisoners had been released because of acute psychological suffering, and of the remaining prisoners only 2 said they would not be willing to forfeit the money they had earned in return for parole. Only 2 said they were not willing to forfeit the money they had earned in return for parole. They were willing to hang on. Zimbardo's prison experiment provides strong evidence that social and institutional forces. Now, social and institutional forces, the most powerful I think is religion. And when a religion teaches you absurdities, you will commit atrocities. If a religious holy book is full of lechery, butchery, and treachery, and hatred for unbelievers, what more do you expect? So, although the experiment was criticized on ethical grounds, it is rightly considered one of the most significant studies in the history of psychology. So, look at some of his quotes. The line between good and evil is permeable, and almost anyone can be induced to cross it when pressured by situational forces. Well, he is a very polite man. He did not name the holy books which have caused misery, untold misery to the whole world in the last 2000 years. I hope he should have, it would have been better if he had named them. If you put good apples into a bad situation, you will get bad apples. That's why in Hinduism we talk about satsangatvam. Avoid kussangatvam. Satsangatvam is essential. So, Zimbardo's Stanford experiment is one of the most significant psychological studies ever conducted, showing that people are predisposed to engage in negative and hostile behavior given the presence of certain institutional and social cues. In my opinion, dangerous holy books. Jai Shri Ram.